A 23-year-old mysteriously vanishes after getting off of work.
Any young people today, they can't live without having a phone in their hand. So that's a concern. You left her car behind. It's certainly something that's not usual of somebody who's missing voluntarily.
A week into her disappearance, a 21-year-old is arrested, accused of kidnapping her. We'll explain what this latest development means as police say she still hasn't been found.
The number one priority is locating Miss Scott. Just want to make that very clear.
This is Inside the Crime, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Elizabeth Millner. This is a Law&Crime legal alert. There are allegations claiming that the online apps like DraftKings and FanDuel are engineered for addiction. These multi-billion-dollar companies allegedly continue to put profit over safety. Every free bet, every boosted parlay, and every small payout triggers a dopamine rush that creates dependency and turns harmless fun into a detrimental habit. They keep you hooked, chasing impossible wins, and trap you in a cycle that can lead to significant financial loss and ultimately damage mental health. Our legal sponsors are taking on the online gambling industry to potentially get compensation for all of those impacted. So if you or a loved one has suffered addiction, financial hardship, or mental health issues due to sports betting apps, visit gamblinglawsuits.com/insidethecrime and take a short quiz and check out your eligibility to file a claim. 23-year-old Kada Scott hadn't been seen or heard from since she left work Saturday night. This comes after she told her friend she was getting harassing messages. So was the person arrested for her kidnapping the one who sent those messages? Well, that's still unclear.
Did charge this individual with charges, the lead charge being kidnapping. You know, as we've said multiple times at this point, we do not know where Ms. Scott is. So at this point, our lead charge is kidnapping.
So how did this case begin? On Saturday, October 4th, Kada Scott had just finished working her shift at an assisted living facility, but she never made it home that night. Her parents feared the worst, especially because they hadn't heard from her, so they reported her missing the very next day. The search for Kada was on because wherever she was, her friends, family, and even police believe she didn't go willingly.
We've been investigating that since that time, really trying to do everything we can to figure out where she might have went. Like, her car was found at the location. No one has received a call from her. We know her phone is not in operation anymore. So a lot of what we're doing is following the evidence that we have, witnesses that gave us information. Some of that evidence has led us to this area. We've looked in other areas too. This particular area, the Aubrey Arboretum, all right, it's a very large area. It's all wooded area mostly. There's a lot of fences and activity going on in there. So it wasn't very easy to search with just a few detectives. So we enlisted the help of our academy classes. They're here. They were given specific instructions by our crime scene investigation people, and we're just looking in the area. To this point, nothing has been found that's related to the investigation. We found some clothing items, which we have no idea if they're related to this or not, but they were taken just to look into. But at this point, we're just doing everything we can. We try to do that on missing person investigations. We do everything we can to make sure we run down every lead. This particular case led us to this area. It's a very large area, and we had to do what we had to do. It's not the first time we've done this. I've been in the department over 35 years. I've worked in the Detective Bureau a long time. We've done this in missing persons in the past where we enlisted the help of the Academy.
Frank, how concerned are you about it? She's been gone almost a week now. No cell phone, no bank, no any trace, right?
Yeah, 23-year-old who, you know, is a social media person, as we hear. She disappeared off social media, so it's concerning. You know, any young people today, they can't live without having a phone in their hand. So that's a concern. You left her car behind. It's certainly something that's not usual of somebody who's missing voluntarily.
According to police, they interviewed Kada's coworkers. Her coworkers didn't notice anything strange. Her coworkers didn't notice any strange behavior from her prior to her disappearance. But would Kada's family unlock new clues for police to investigate? According to her family, the 23-year-old was receiving harassing messages. It's unclear who that person was that sent those messages. But during that October 8th press conference, officials said they were still investigating the case as a missing persons case.
I'll stick to it's a troubling missing person report. It's certainly troubling, so we don't know if foul play was involved, but we certainly see some signs that this person wasn't voluntarily missing. So because of that, we're doing everything we can to figure out who she contacted and where she is now.
Days and more days went by, no sign of Kada. And all true crime watchers know how missing persons cases are. Time is so critical. Then a major development. There was an arrest.
All right. Good morning. Just want to give you an update on the disappearance of Kada Scott, which occurred on October 4th, 11 days ago. I'm going to provide you an update in terms of an individual that is currently in custody for his involvement in the disappearance of Ms. Scott. However, still a lot of work needs to be done. And so just want to make that very clear as to why we are here and the information that you will receive. Essentially letting you know how we have gotten here, but more so the public's help that we need right now. The public has been very, very helpful thus far in providing a lot of information, which the investigators have been able to track down a lot of the leads, which has helped us get to this point here. But as I said, a lot of work still to be done. The number one priority is locating Ms. Scott. I just want to make that very clear. And so while we are at this stage of this now, that's our priority.
So who's the individual authorities have in their custody? 21-year-old Keon King, who police say surrendered on Tuesday. But a quick look into his record showed a very dark pattern.
Want folks to understand this person has a little bit of a pattern of this type of history. And so we want to encourage anyone that may have been involved with this individual, anyone that may know this individual, please, at this point in time, make that phone call. Feel comfortable enough to call us and let us know if you have any information regarding this person, regarding any interaction you've had with this individual. If you have been a victim of any crime regarding this individual, I want you to understand now is the time to make that phone call and let us know. Give us that information so that we can continue on.
Our evidence that we followed, and we did involve a lot of investigators on this, led us to several places, that digital evidence, and as everybody knows, we searched a very large area up in the Arboretum, and we came up really with negative results. After that time, we asked the Homicide Division, the FBI Violent Crime Task Force to enter into the investigation to assist. All right, and we continued our search trying to track Ms. Scott's whereabouts along with anybody she may have encountered during that time. Our evidence is pretty clear that she was in communication with an individual. That individual appears to meet her very shortly after she leaves her place of work, and very shortly after that, she disappears off of the footprint. We have a lot of digital evidence, video and other, which provides us with this individual by the name of Keon, K-E-O-N, King, K-I-N-G. We believe this individual, and through our evidence, we were able to charge this individual. The district attorney was able to charge the individual. You'll hear from them shortly with kidnapping at this point. It's very important to know we're not done our investigation. We need to find Ms. Scott, figure out where she is, or what may have happened to her to cause her to completely disappear from all her items, her phone, her Instagram, social media sites, and everywhere else, work. She left her car at that location. So it's very important that this individual, who does have prior history of being arrested, especially for this very same thing, this year was charged with kidnapping another female acquaintance. That case was dismissed from court, and I'll explain it. It's going to be refiled now as we're going to move forward to attempt. So he's being really charged with 2 cases today of kidnapping. And in that case, it involves assaults that occurred during the kidnapping. So this is a pattern of behavior. That vehicle that you've seen, the Toyota Camry, was his vehicle, all right? That vehicle's not recovered, all right? Some of the stuff he did as we attempted to find him was he got rid of things like the car, the phone. We're not able to find things that he was using. He had an address in Southwest Philadelphia. He had other addresses that it looks like he's not using anymore. So he attempted to elude us for some time. He did come in last night. He's here being processed, but there's a lot of questions we still have. So We're asking the public's help. We need it more than ever. This car, you'll see a better picture of it. We sent it to you digitally. It's a gold-colored Camry, 1999. It has heavy front-end damage on the left front bumper. All right, that's being described that way several times. We know it's been in the Mount Airy area. We have photos of it in Center City. We have pictures of it in Grace Ferry area and in Southwest Philadelphia. So it's possible that it could be anywhere. It could be outside the city. So if somebody sees this, thinks they know where this car is, it's very possible it doesn't have this tag on it anymore. So if you see a car like it, we're urging you to call police, have it investigated. Any information on this, you can call our tip line, 215-686-TIPS, 8477, or the Homicide Division directly, and give that information.
According to a report by NBC 10 Philadelphia, officers got a tip about evidence found outside of a local middle school. Photos later revealed the very car investigators were looking for was parked at the Ada H. Lewis Middle School. But they searched the school's property. Still no sign of Kada. But according to the report, the school is located near the Aubrey Arboretum, where police searched for Kada last Friday. Officials believe Keon was the last person in contact with Kada. But again, he's not facing any murder charges, just kidnapping until investigators find out more.
What I can confirm is that our office, as of the early morning hours into the early morning hours this morning, did charge this individual with charges, the lead charge being kidnapping. You know, as we've said multiple times at this point, we do not know where Ms. Scott is. So at this point, our lead charge is kidnapping. What we're able to confirm and what I was able to charge based on is what we know, which has already been said, which is that this person, Mr. King, is the last person we believe to be in contact with her, and that he was in contact with her when she went offline, meaning her phone, everything. So at this point, the investigation has led us here, and we're able to charge him with kidnapping, recklessly endangering another person, use of a communication facility, meaning his phone. We were able to track his phone and communications on his phone. He's being processed as we speak. When I picked up this investigation, one of the things that our office also learned was that he did have a previous case. It was a 2025 case for very similar conduct, strangulation and kidnapping. That case had been withdrawn by our office based on the witness failing to appear at court.
According to reports, during that incident, Keon allegedly kidnapped a woman he knew in front of her home, threw her in a car, assaulted her, and just let her go. So did the same thing happen to Kada, and he allegedly stashed her somewhere? As of this recording, Kada still hasn't been found, as we're nearing 2 weeks into her disappearance. But her family is holding on to hope for a safe return. Loved ones wrote on GoFundMe, "We've established a verified reward fund for credible information that leads directly to Kada's safe recovery. Every dollar raised strengthens our ability to bring her home and encourages anyone with information to come forward. If Kada is found before the funds are distributed, or if law enforcement determines the reward is no longer necessary, any remaining balance will be donated to a verified missing persons organization or used to assist other families of missing persons." So where is Kada? That's the question on everyone's mind. I'm joined now by retired FBI agent Colin Schmidt. Colin, thank you so much for joining me. You know, we have a 23-year-old girl who's missing. Her cell phone is off. There's no sign of her, but a person is in custody for her kidnapping. What's your reaction?
Well, it appears from the media reports that there was some sort of relationship between the two of them prior to her disappearance. So the first thing that comes to mind is this may be an act of domestic violence, and that something went awry, and now she's missing. And unfortunately, statistically speaking, in cases like this, many times the victim ends up being, has passed away. I have hope that she's not, that she's just laying low and hiding from him or whatever, and will come forward very quickly. But right now, just based upon the social media and the media reports, it doesn't look good for her.
Yeah, and it's just terrible to think about, especially given that before her disappearance, she had talked to family and friends just about somebody sending her harassing messages to her phone, all of that stuff. So I'm kind of wondering, was this a possible situation where maybe she rejected him romantically? He didn't like taking no for an answer, and then maybe he did something to her. What are your thoughts on the whole domestic aspect of this?
Well, I think you're spot on. I think there was some sort of catalyst that created this event. and most likely it was something that she did or did not do that set him off, so to speak. And we don't know what happened. I mean, right now we just have him in custody, and she is missing. Although they did say they did find incriminating evidence in, I think, where he was living. So we don't know what that evidence is yet. But based upon, the pattern of these events that we've seen over and over and over again, it appears that it was likely a volatile relationship, and then it just went bad.
And I'm thinking to myself, a 21-year-old accused of kidnapping, I'm thinking, where would he stash her? Where do you think somebody like this, who has a pattern of this kind of dark behavior, would go and stash a 23-year-old if she is still alive?
Well, it comes down to just basic human psychology. He's going to go where he's familiar, and whether it be an apartment that he's aware of, or friends, or a storage facility, or a vehicle, or a park, or something that he's very familiar with, that's the most likely place that she would be. Or if she did if her life was taken from her, it would be along some sort of road that he travels quite a bit, or some area that he's very familiar with.
And police say that they are still treating this as a missing person investigation. We're about 2 weeks into her disappearance. But where does the search go from here? Is it back to square one?
Well, like we've talked about over and over again, always comes back to the phones. They're going to get the location data off of both phones. I mean, I believe they did find her phone and it was not functioning. So they're going to look at that call history. They're going to look at the GPS pings. They're going to look at all that, and look at areas that they both have in common, that they both are aware of. And that would be the first places to look, is basically reconcile the two phones together and see what the GPS data is saying.
And do you think there's some surveillance video footage out there somewhere of maybe her last known steps and things like that? Because I'm thinking it's 2025. There has to be some type of surveillance footage out there somewhere that can lead police to some different direction.
Well, I think once they establish the timeline of her locations, then that'll be the next step, is canvassing those neighborhoods for the Ring cameras, for the cameras that are on the side of houses, and then also basically vehicle information to see where his car has been. So yeah, there's high probability there is surveillance video out there, because you hit the nail on it. We're in a surveillance state right now, so there's almost always surveillance video.
And I want to go back to a point that you had just mentioned about time. How important is time here, consider that this is still a missing persons case?
Well, time is everything in all crime, in all criminal investigations, but more in violent crime, especially missing person. The longer they wait, the longer, the more likely evidence is going to disappear. People's memories are going to fade. And frankly, if in fact that she is deceased, then the evidence that's on the body is also going to kind of evaporate, so to speak.
And as much as I don't want this investigation or this case to turn this route, but when do investigators start to make that determination that this is going from a missing persons case to a homicide investigation?
Well, I think they have to have some sort of probable cause to be able to call it a homicide, whether it be a text message or some sort of data point that shows that a violent act occurred before they do move to that point. So right now we are fairly early in the investigation, so it's just a matter of time, and the law enforcement is doing everything in their power to track down all the leads, because they do hold out hope, and there is always the assumption that she is alive, and they want to recover her before something worse happens to her.
And I think what's also very scary about this case, too, is that Keon King, the suspect who has been charged with her kidnapping, has also had kind of similar dark behavior like this before, even going as far back as just this year, where he was accused of kidnapping another woman. But in that incident, he let her go, and he wasn't in jail for that case because the charges were dropped after the victim didn't appear in court. But what's your thoughts on the possible escalation that might have been happening that we know of?
Well, likely in a case like that, that's a documented case of a kidnapping. There's probably undocumented cases where people didn't come forward. Now that this is in the media and he's behind bars, I would be surprised if people didn't start coming forward to talk about incidents and experience they had with him where he was violent or acted, frankly, creepy or weird.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of just looking for a 23-year-old in this vast area where there's a lot of land, a lot of buildings, how difficult is it to search for her when, we have so little to go off from what we know publicly?
Well, it just comes down to filtering information. So they have to canvass the neighborhoods, canvass her family, find out what her places are, that she's familiar with, and then, of course, find places that he's familiar with, and then start there. And then basically apply some logic to the search, because they have to be able to filter where they put resources, because you hit the nail on the head that the area is so vast. They would be looking for a needle in a haystack unless they're able to filter that haystack down to a handful of hay, so to speak.
And in terms of interrogating him, do you think that he is going to tell investigators where Kada is, whether or not she is still alive, which is what we're hoping for, or if something terrible and tragic did happen to her too, if he's going to tell authorities where she is?
Well, the success of an interrogation comes down to a couple of factors. Number one, the age and sophistication of the person being interviewed, and his experience with law enforcement. So in fact, if he's been interviewed multiple times by law enforcement, he's going to be a harder person to talk to. And then also the skill of the interviewer. And I'm sure the police are very skilled at this. So it's more likely than not he is going to give up incriminating information unless he was instructed by his legal counsel not to cooperate.
And we do know that the FBI is assisting the Philadelphia Police Department in this investigation. In terms of where they're going to help, where do you think that that's going to lie at?
Well, the FBI, along with the U.S. Marshal Service, they lead the world in cell phone tracking technology and being able to read the pings and the data off the cell sites. So that'll be the first place where they'll probably deploy the CAST team to filter through the literally millions of lines of data that come off those cell towers. And then they may also bring in the behavioralist from the so-called profiler unit to get an idea of what he's about, and also understand what his patterns are, his lifestyle patterns, which would also help them narrow down the search.
And hopefully that investigators and the FBI can hopefully find Kada safe and sound and hopefully bring her back to her family. That's what we're hoping for here. Colin Schmidt, I want to thank you so much for your time and your insight into this case. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, the Philadelphia Police Department and the FBI are treating this case as a missing persons case as of this recording. They are asking anyone with information about Kada's whereabouts to come forward, and will be keeping a close eye on this case as more details develop. But that does it for this episode. Be sure to check out more episodes on the Law and Crime YouTube channel. I'm Elizabeth Millner, and this has been Inside the Crime.